she is an artist, but her medium just happens to be events and food. So it's a really fun story. Together with her husband, Ron, Mary has guided their catering company through 24 successful years. That's a long time to be in business. Culinary Crafts is the name of their businesses, and it's in demand to create fabulous events and venues throughout Utah. And she even extends into a number of surrounding states. She does catering for over 600 events a year. How many days in the year? So she's doing a lot of events, 600 events a year. It's not surprising that Culinary Crafts has become the largest off-premises caterer in the state. Some of their clients include the International Olympic Committee, Sports Illustrated, American Express, and the Sundance Film Festival. Some of her guests have run the gamut from Diane Keaton to the last 5 governors in the state of Utah, including 2 presidents of the United States. So very, very impressive. She attributes her success to an uncompromising commitment to quality in all things, and being active in her community, and to hiring and inspiring talented employees who take pride in a job well done. Mary spends much of her time speaking with civic and college groups about the power of integrity and the freedom of living debt-free. She has received many awards as well as her company, including being named one of Utah's best businesses, 30 Women to Watch, winner of Best of State for Catering for 5 years in a row, Best of the Best statue for setting the standard of excellence for the entire Utah hospitality community, and a whole other list. But I won't take time away from her presentation. Please help me welcome Mary Crafts.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that mic is loud. I sent out to a client was done on a manual typewriter. And then when we finally learned how to word process, yes, that was really something. But then you had to print it and mail it. And I remember the very first time someone asked me if I could fax something to them. It's like, yes, I can do that. And I went across the street to the business across the street. Do you guys have a fax machine? They said, yeah, we have one. I said, great. And I used their fax machine for about 3 months before I finally realized, hey, I think this is going to catch on. I better go buy one. I went and bought a fax machine. Then years later, somebody said to me, yes, just email that to me. Email. I think I can do that as soon as my son gets home from school. Because he can do that. And then you learn how to email. It is amazing how technology has changed what I do today, and streamlined what I do today, and really allows you to do the number of events. Yes, I do over 600 events a year, but that's not 2 a day. That's usually, maybe nothing Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you're doing 5, 6, 7 events on those days. And so to keep all of that straight, technology's been a wonderful thing. And I can't imagine now catering the size of things that we cater back then. You guys are so far ahead of where I was when I was your age. You at least have an idea that you want to be entrepreneurs. You have something inside of you that says, hey, I think I might have what it takes to do this. I didn't know that when I was your age. When I was your age, I was here at school. I graduated from BYU in social work with a minor in CFR, which is Child Development and Family Relations, because my plan was to what? Get married. I was going to be a mom. That was my big plan. My husband was an accountant, and I thought, yes, he's going to go to work for someone of those big 8 firms. I'm just going to stay home. We're going to get a paycheck every 2 weeks. We're going to take care of our dental health insurance. I will have a parking spot at work. I'll just be home with my minivan, and life will be great. But different things happen in life. There's different things that have happened to me that will happen to you that allow you to walk down a different path that you never even dreamt of. I remember when I first moved into the ward that I'm currently in, and one of my neighbors came up to me in the cul-de-sac, and she said, I moved in there about 15 years ago. She said, just so you know, you're the only woman, mother in the cul-de-sac who works. oh, really? Okay, you know. And that was a judgment call that she made on me prior to knowing me or what I was about or why I worked or walking a mile in my shoes about why I worked. She just saw me as somebody who was stuck on herself and needed to have a career and wanted to make more money. She didn't know why. She didn't know what I was about and what led me down a path. And it had nothing to do with, I want to be a career person. I didn't know when I was your age that I was going to be an entrepreneur, that I had what it took to be an entrepreneur. However, I learned a lot from my father. My father was an entrepreneur of his own sorts in his little small town. We lived in Iowa, and our town had 250 people in it. 250 people. That's like not as much as your whole ward. And in this town, he first opened a gas station because people in this farming community needed gas. And then he thought people in this farming community needed an appliance store. They needed to be a place to go and buy their refrigerators and washers and dryers and ovens and stoves. And then he needed a hardware store because they needed a place to go and buy their hardware and their equipment and their wrenches and those kind of things. And then pretty soon he opened up a lumber yard because they needed lumber. And next thing he decided that rather than driving 10 miles to the nearest grocery, he opened up a little grocery store there and had groceries for those people. And he was such an amazing entrepreneur. And I didn't know he was an entrepreneur. It was just my dad. But I watched him, and I watched him see a need, create a plan how to meet that need, and then the last key to follow through and see it happen. And that's the key to any entrepreneurship. When you recognize a need, you come up with a plan on how to do it. A lot of people get to that stage, step 2. But then the third one, to have what it takes to follow through, to bring it to fruition. That's the key. Lately in my life, there's been one question that's been asked of me more than anything else. And in this economic time, you can probably imagine what it is. They say to me, how's business? How are you doing? You okay? What's going to go on? Are you booking any Christmas parties? Are you going to survive this economic downturn? And my response to them is always the same, things are great. They're like, really? Well, yeah, I'm not working as many catering events. And certainly, I've had a lot of people cancel their Christmas parties. I have just today, 800 people at the Olympic Ice Oval, GE Healthcare, General Electric Healthcare. Hello, they're huge. Canceled their Christmas party. They're not having a Christmas party this year. Okay. So yes, I'm having those experiences, but I am not necessarily personally devastated by the economic downturn. And what makes the difference is that in my own small way and in my own small business, I have learned how to navigate those challenges that come through life. Let's see if technology, no? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Triggers. Next. Aha! Okay, now how do we go back? Because we missed one. The backup key on the keyboard. Backspace?
Right arrow.
Right arrow. No, wrong way. Here we go. Left arrow, just in case you want to know. Okay. We've all been in a situation where we've been on a freeway. Did I miss one?
Try left arrow again.
Aha! Navigating life's challenges, staying sane and happy through it all. Okay, so maybe not always happy, maybe not always sane, but at least going the right direction. At least having a navigational standard that says, where am I going and how am I going to get there? And as you're going through life, a lot of you probably haven't even been to a situation where you've been traveling down a freeway and you're approaching something like this in LA and you have not that you haven't been to LA, but you probably haven't had a vehicle full of children also screaming at you and they're watching their videos in back and you're trying to navigate and find your way and it all seems so confusing. And this kind of a situation can be very stressful for someone, which is just like life, unless you have this new wonderful thing that they have in technology now called a GPS. I have one in my car and I won't go anywhere without it. I love it. It lets me not make mistakes. Right turn in 500 feet. Perfect. How long is 500 feet? You know? But now I've kind of learned. I know what 500 feet is because I've turned there enough times. Great. And I also know is make a U-turn when possible. Oh, I've made a mistake. I've missed something. Make a U-turn when possible. You know, proceed to the highlighted road. You know, oh, okay, I'm off road. Okay, you know, and I've learned how to work that GPS. Took me a long time first to even learn how to enter my address in because you have to work backwards on my GPS. You don't say 1989 South, 11th East, Salt Lake City, Utah. You enter Utah, Salt Lake, 11th East, 1989. But once I figured that out and I learned how to work the GPS, it's been invaluable to me. So the key for each of you is to figure out your GPS. What is the keys? What are the keys that you have that are going to navigate you through the tough times? Because I don't care who you are and what you have in front of you, there are tough times. But you can weather them based on your GPS, based on whether or not you have something that's sending you down the road. And an interesting part about this talk is I talk to a lot of people. I talk to people at civic groups. I talk to women in business. I talk to UVU. And a lot of places where I go, I have to be a little careful, and I don't want to sound like, hi, I'm giving a fireside. Because then immediately they just tune you out. I was very nervous about this. I gave this a similar seminar to this at the International Caterers Association at their last national conference, and I thought, I hope they don't tune me out. I hope they don't think I'm being like a fireside. But that was one of the great things about coming here, was knowing that I could be almost like a fireside. It would be okay, because you guys knew what that was. But with a GPS, no matter what's going on in your life, you can always feel like you're traveling under the rainbow, because there's something that's guiding you. And for me, how to find those values was the key instrument in finding my own personal GPS. Values are those things, not just principles of the gospel, that you just say, okay, yeah, I believe that. Your personal values are those things that you have decided to live in, no matter what. At all times and in all things and in all places, you're going to be about those values. Everyone has different ones. What are mine are not going to be yours. You can write mine down, but later I want you to find what yours are. Whether you have 3 or whether you have 5, no more than 5. It's way too much to keep track of all the time. If you're on track with your GPS, you have too many things talking at you in your brain that will guide you through whatever you're doing. So the values that I chose came to me after a lot of pondering and after I decided what I wanted to be about, what I wanted to do, and what legacy I wanted to leave as I left. The first value that I chose was that of integrity. This is not a new value to any of us, but it has more power, and I mean actual power, than almost any other value that I have chosen. When I had a business before Culinary Crafts. My husband and I opened an ice cream store. And we saw a need. We saw a need for a higher quality ice cream. So we went to Italy. We researched gelato. We brought back the machine. We did this concept. And we made this absolutely amazing ice cream. So flavors, vibrant, and the texture on the palate so smooth. And if you've ever had Italian ice cream, you get these little tiny scoops and you put them in these cones. Hello, does that sound like Utah County to you? So we saw the need, we researched it, but what we realized is that it wasn't our market share. It wasn't wasn't our target audience. So we were only in business 4 months. We borrowed ourselves past our eyeballs and our nose. We talked all of our parents into helping us with this great little venture we thought was going to be so wonderful, and we didn't make it. So we lost it all. We lost all of our parents' money. We lost our home. We lost our cars. It was a whole brand new experience for me. I'd never been in that kind of a situation. If you've ever had your car repossessed, let me tell you how it happens. I got up one morning, I went outside, I looked outside, and I was like, oh my gosh, my car is gone. So I immediately called the police. Hello, someone stole my car. And they're like, well, what's your license plate number? I give it to them. They say, yeah, it was repossessed. What? They just come and tore it away in the middle of the night. They don't even tell you. They don't come knock on your door and say, hi, we're taking your car. Do you have anything in it you want to get back? And they just take it? Oh, God, what a deal is this? However, I had one car that I had paid for when I graduated from BYU in 1978. It was black Cutlass with red velvet interior, and it was fully paid for, and it was our car. That's all we had. Very shortly, we were going to have to leave where we were living. But I went to every one of those people that we owed money to, and I told them, please, do not force me into bankruptcy. If you believe in me, I commit to you that I will pay you back everything that is owed you. And at that point in time, they didn't have any reason to believe that I even could do it. But I believed that my commitment to integrity was so strong that they got it from me. And they trusted us. And we did not have to file bankruptcy, which allowed us to start our next entrepreneur venture with a leg up, without a bankruptcy dragging around our ankles. Shortly after we started our next business, which was a catering company, Geneva Steel opened up again. And Joe Cannon was asked to be the CEO. He was brought from a law firm in Washington, D.C. And for some unknown, wonderful reason, they called us to do catering for Geneva Steel. And that's back in the days where I had to do it all. I'd shop, I'd cook, I'd go serve it, I'd come back, I'd clean it up, and the next day start again. Shop, cook, serve, clean up, shop, cook, clean up. And, but I learned a lot in doing those things, because I was kind of like a little mouse in the corner of those boardrooms, as I would have those board meetings at Geneva Steel. And being young and very impressionable, I listened a lot. And I tried not to bank any of my money in the stock market on what I was learning. But what I learned was I remember particularly at one board meeting, a man stood up and he said to the board there, I want you to know about Joe Cannon, and the man you have standing is your CEO. This man is a man of integrity. He said, in my office and in my business in Washington, D.C., as an accountant, I have people come to me all the time and say to me, can I get away with this? If I put some money over here, will the IRS find it? If I do this with my taxes, do you think like anyone will see that? And they play this game with me of how much can I get away with and how much can I hide. He said, Joe Cannon comes to me and says, keep me as far away from that line as you can. He said, in all my career in Washington, D.C., I've never had anyone else say that to me. And that's the man you have standing at the head of your company. As I listened to that, I decided that's the man I want for my mentor. That's who I want to be. 25 years down the road, that's what I want said about me. That I have been a woman of integrity. Now, I started off with it as a value that I wanted because I thought it was a good value. What I didn't know at the time was how powerful it was. When you have integrity, everyone wants to do business with you. Everyone wants to be with you. They want to be connected with you. So I have people coming up to me all the time who want our food business. They want to be our food purveyor. Why? They're going to give me bottom prices. Why? Because they know I pay my bill, I pay it on time, and I don't bounce checks. It's power. I have clients who want to do business with Culinary Crafts just because they know what? I'm a woman of integrity. If they have a problem, I'm going to stand behind what's the problem. They trust me to deliver what I've told them. Promise less, deliver more. And I had an experience with a company called All Event Intent just before the Olympics came in 2002. They came to me and said, Mary, we've started a new rental business. We'd love to do your rental company business during the Olympics. I said, I don't know, guys. You guys are brand new. This is huge. I can't trust this to you. And they said, well, would you just meet with us and talk with us? And as I met with them, I thought, wow, these guys are real synergetic with who I am. I sense that they are all about integrity. And I'm going to give you a shot at this. So they were our rental company and provided all our tables, chairs, tents, linens, china, everything during the Olympics. And they did a phenomenal job. And if ever I had a problem with something that they did, I went to them and they said, we'll make that right. So by the time the Olympics were over, I just said, I want these people to have all my business. So I told all my salespeople, give all of our business to All Event Intent. They're going to get 100% of it. And I went to them and I said, I'm going to give you all my business. And they said, well, I don't know if we're large enough. And I said, but you will be, because I'm going to drive business to you. I called all my contacts, all my venues, all my event planners, and I said, this is who I'm using and it's who I think you should use. And they grew and they grew and they grew. 2 years after 2 years in business, they came to me, brought me this huge gift, put it on my desk, and they'd handmade these things, and they had these gift certificates, and I said, what's this for? And they said, because of what you've done for us. And I said, okay, talk to me about that. And I said, Mary, we had someone come to us, after we'd only been in business about a year, and say, we're going to give you all of our business. And I turned to them and I said, why? And they said, because Mary Crafts has given all of her business to you. And whatever Mary Crafts says, we all want to do. Because we know she's making right decisions, she's connecting herself with people of integrity, and we trust you to provide for us the same. And they said, having your endorsement was huge. And so we've been giving you a 10% discount, Mary. We'd like to give you a 20% discount on all your rentals. Whoa. A principle that turned into cash. It's a powerful principle, no matter how you use it. If you claim it as your own, it's the one principle I say today that all of you should have at the top of your list. The next principle that I chose was that of excellence. I wanted to be about excellence. In everything I did, and everywhere I went, and whatever I did, I wanted to do it with excellence. Now, not necessarily perfection. Perfection will drive you crazy. Perfection is trying to get somewhere and you go off a cliff every time because you never quite measure up to perfection. But excellence can inspire you. Excellence inspires you to be your very best. I love to see my staff. They love to come to work. I have 100 staff now. They love to go do our events. They're proud to be out there serving what we do. They're proud to talk to clients. They're proud with our displays because they know whatever's out there is the very best that we can possibly produce. A lot of people said to me, Mary, when you first started this catering company, they were saying, you're making the same mistake with your catering company you made with your ice cream store, you know. Utah's not interested in excellence. They just want it cheap, and they just want whatever you can throw at them, $5 a head, that's it, they don't care. Like, what does that say about us? As LDS people, are we about second rate? Or are we about excellence? I decided I wanted to be about excellence because that's what I know my Father has been about me. He's not about doing things second rate. No, they can get by with just having those ugly bushes. They don't need trees, you know. That's not how he went about things. He gave us excellence, and I wanted to be about excellence. So in the beginning, my market share was only about this much. But that was all right. I grew nice and slow. And then pretty soon, the market share became bigger. And then I began to realize, okay, if I'm going to expand, I've got to go across that point of the mountain. I've got to go to Salt Lake and Park City. Now, 90% of my business is in Salt Lake and Park City, and only 10% still in Utah County, because we're still working on being about excellence here in Utah County. Okay. All right. My next founding value that has assisted me in being a powerful entrepreneur is that of abundance. Now, abundance is an interesting principle, and it's one that you may not be real familiar with. I grew up in a family, and this may apply to your grandparents or your great-grandparents, but in a family where my parents were in the children of the Depression. They were born in 1915, so in 1929 they were 14, they were just starting high school. Can you imagine how that affected them? It's like what we have today, but like 100 times worse. My dad wanted to go to college. He wanted to be he wanted to be a coach, actually baseball coach. But he was only there for 6 months, and his dad needed him to come home and work in the business to save what they were doing. It affected them a lot. And I've seen people, and all of you know people who are like this, who live in scarcity, who are so afraid that there's not going to be enough. I see them in my catering business all the time. They come to the buffets, and they're like this. You know, hi, my husband couldn't come tonight, so do you have a takeout thing I can take home to him? Sure, put a hi, and then I have my grandchildren also could use one. Okay, fine. And they just are. There's never enough for them, and if it's free, they need more of it. And they live like this. And what they've got to hold on to because there may not be enough ever again. And if they let go of it, no one's going to give them any more. They've worked hard for what they have, and they've got to hold on to it. And you watch people like that. I see people like that. You probably even see students like that are so afraid that their next day they're not going to have anything to eat. And how wonderful, how fun is this to live like this? This is what gives you heart attacks and ulcers. This is what put fingernail prints in your hands. Okay. You cannot be open to what's going to be out there for you to receive if you live like this. Hold on to what you've got and don't let go of it. But if you live like this, and what you have is your neighbor's, how open are you to receive what's yours, what's coming to you? You can't receive anything from anybody else like this. You can only receive from someone else when you're like this. It's the principle of the sandbox, I call it. So picture yourself, you have a sandbox. And you have your nice little sandbox, and it's full of sand, and you live on a beach. And the guy next to you also has a sandbox. But as you're looking at his sandbox, he doesn't have so much sand in his box. So being the wonderful, sharing, abundant person that you are, you start giving him some of your sand. And you're just giving some sand and putting sand in his box, and he's loving it, and he's thanking you. I love your sand, thank you. And you're just giving him sand, and pretty soon you start noticing that your box is getting kind of empty. So you slow down just a little bit and giving him sand, and then pretty soon you stop giving him sand because you hardly have any sand left, and then you want to know, can I have some of that back? But what you forget is that you live on a beach. And when you look behind you, there's somebody else with a sandbox full of sand that's putting into yours. And that's the principle of abundance. That we're all one continual round. We all have our individual sandboxes, but we live on a beach where there is no end to the sand. And that's how the universe was set up. It was not set up in scarcity, it was set up in abundance. Our Heavenly Father is the wealthiest man that I know. He has it all. And He doesn't want to share it to us in limited quantities. He wants to share it all. He doesn't say, okay, I'm not going to give you too much. No, I'm not going to give you too much. I need to hold on to it because I might run out. Does that sound like the guy you know? That's not who I worship. That's not who I want to be. That's not who He is. He wants to give it all to us. And He is just like this. It's how I want to live. It's where my greatest happiness lies. It's where my greatest power in my business lies, because people want to do business with people who are like this. They feel open and trusting to share ideas with you, to include you in their plans, to have you be a trusted part of their community, because they feel that you are open to everything that you have is theirs and what theirs is mine. I always say, I have food storage for 2 years for my family, 6 months for my ward, or 1 day for my community. And it doesn't matter to me which, because I'm all in that together. The next one is of service. This is a wonderful value. And in our business, because of the nature of our catering business, it's provided me endless opportunities to be of service. How rich is the man that can make money at what provides service? It's still now the greatest thing when I do a wedding, and it's just absolutely fabulous, and the bride runs up to you afterwards and throws her arms like, everything was so perfect, I loved it. Thanks, It's better than the check. It's like a shot of heroin, I mean, you're just on this high. Can you say that at BYU? Okay. Things have changed since I was at BYU. When I was at BYU, you couldn't wear pants. And now I saw somebody in shorts. So I love this principle. And I remember times like, for example, when Elizabeth Smart was missing, and we took food up there to those searchers every day for 2 weeks. Garrett Bardsley was lost in the high Uintas, and we were able to take our mobile kitchens up there and serve the people as they searched for him. When Katrina happened, we held huge fundraisers in the parks and did breakfasts, pancake breakfasts, and raised things so we could send truckloads of bottled water down to Katrina. It's a wonderful opportunity when we can be of service with our company. And no matter what area of entrepreneurship you choose and what direction you go, there are those areas and those opportunities for you. And you've heard this a million times, but it's so true. The more you give away, the more it comes back to you. You cannot give more away than what you're going to get back. You cannot put into somebody else's sandbox more than what's going to be coming to you. You know, when we first had our business failure, it was a tough time in our family's life. I had 2 small children. I had 2 little boys, ages 1 and 3. And we were approaching the holiday season, and I wondered, how in the world am I going to, even as a mom, get through this holiday season? I don't have a Christmas tree. I don't have money for food for Christmas dinner, toys, gifts, nothing. And my heart was breaking as you just wait your whole life to have these little children at this height of their Christmas season. My 3-year-old was like, totally knew what this was all about now for the first time. We can't wait for the gifts. I'm sorry, they're not coming this year. And it was a very difficult time for me. And about 5 days before Christmas, and we knew we were going to have to, in January, leave our home. It had been foreclosed on. And about 5 days before Christmas, there was a knock on the door one evening, and when I opened up the door, there was a little Christmas tree there. It was all decorated. I was so excited, and my little boys were just like ecstatic. Hold on, plug it in, don't touch, don't touch. They had to learn for the first time about but not touching those lights were. I just felt someone had just lifted me up and nurtured me with that, and the next night, there was another knock. And there was a basket full of food. There was a roast beef in there, canned goods, some chocolate chips, some butter to make chocolate chip cookies. It was my Christmas dinner. And, you know, that sounds like such a small thing, but when you don't even know how you're going to pay your light bill, it was huge. And the last night, the night before Christmas, there was the same knock on the door, and this time I was almost afraid to go. And as I opened the door, there was just a little envelope. And inside that envelope was $1,000 in cash. Now, for me, that's like $100,000 now. If someone were to give me $100,000, it was enough money for us to go out and rent a home to move into. We didn't even know where we were going to move, and we found a home that had 3 kitchens in it. I was sure it was a polygamous home, and we were able to start our catering company. And that's how we started. We took, of that $1,000, we took $750 of it and rented that house, and $250 we bought in food, and that's where we started. We now do over $5 million a year in annual sales. We're the largest off-premise catering company and known as the best of state. That's where we came from. And I've never forgotten this principle. Now I look for every opportunity to be of service to others, to give back to what's been given to me. And still, as much as I give, I cannot possibly ever give out everything that was given to me. It's amazing to me when you open yourself up to this principle, people find you. People will walk into our front door at Culinary Crafts, and they just need $20. And they've got some old camera they want to sell me. Like, I don't need the camera, babe, but you know. Or they just need food. Honey, if you need food, come see me. We have leftovers you can't even imagine. Okay? How wonderful it is after big catering events to pull up to Pioneer Park where the homeless live, open up those van doors. My staff love this. To get out and everyone comes over and they just feast. You cannot give more away than what's coming your direction. And if that's where you live, you will find the greatest joy. I'd been in this catering business about, 15 years, I guess. And I had a dream one night. And I don't share this dream very often, but since I'm at BYU, I can share it. This is okay, you just have to be with me on this. Sometimes you have dreams that are just dreams, and sometimes you have dreams that are so much more. And I've had about 3 of those in my life that have been real guiding posts to me. In this particular dream, I dreamt that I was at our business, and I was in my office, and out in the reception area were 2 angels. And people would come in that front door, and the angels would write down what they needed, and then they'd send a slip of paper into me, and I would help them out. Whether that be money, whether that was food, whether that was a Book of Mormon, whether that was a place to stay for a night, whether that was a referral of some place to get a job. And I just woke up that next morning and thought, oh my gosh, that was the best dream. And I knew that that was in front of me. And another 5 years went by. I didn't share the dream with anybody. One day, one of my trusted employees had been with me for a long, long time. I shared this dream with her, and I said, I know that's out there for me, and I can't wait to the point that Culinary Crafts is in the position that I can just have people coming in, and I'm just writing checks to them. It's great. I can't wait for it. And she turned to me, and she looked at me, and she said, Mary, this is not about writing checks. Don't you know you already live that principle? And it was such an eye-opener for me. All this time I've been waiting for the time when I was a gazillionaire so I could just write these million-dollar checks to people. And it wasn't about that at all. It was about being a woman of service always, in all times and in all places and in all things. And the realization that I was in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. When you have those moments in life, they're one of the most rewarding things that you can imagine. This principle, this is my last founding value, is probably the most important because without this, the other ones mean nothing. If you are not committed to your values, the rest of them mean nothing. Because there'll be plenty of opportunities for you to shortchange yourself on your values. There have been plenty of times when you could make a little mistake on your income tax, have it not be accurate. Plenty of times when the state sales tax could be paid just a little bit under the curve. Sometimes when somebody's paid you extra for your bill, they miscalculated, they'd paid you extra. They don't really know that they've paid you extra, and so if you could just keep that, it wouldn't really matter, right? Because they were okay with that amount, okay, huh? So many times you could just compromise just a little. In our business, we get a lot of gratuities. The staff don't know what those gratuities are, but I have a policy in our company that 90% of the gratuities that we bring into our company get paid back directly to the staff. We keep 10%. Most of them come in on credit cards, so I have to process the credit card. And the other 10% I use to give to the lead staff who has had to be responsible for the whole thing. But those people don't know what those gratuities are. So I could easily just say, it was $80. They don't know. But that tells something about me and who I am. That puts me being only about me, not about them and about their service. People who work for me want to work for me. They love working for me because I share my gratuities, all of them. None of them go in my pocket. So I have a lot of BYU students, a lot of UVU students. They're making $10 an hour, but their gratuities are $10 to $15 an hour. So they're making $20 to $25 an hour on a part-time job. They're loving it, and they get to go to parties and work with me. What else is there? Okay? But I wouldn't have to do that. I wouldn't have to share it all, and I could lie on it. There are going to be so many opportunities you're going to have to fudge just a little on your values. But this is what is your GPS. Those values and your commitment level are going to determine who you are at all things, and in all times, and in all places. And that's a pretty trite phrase. Yes, I've been a young women's president for a long time, okay? But I say it to them over and over and over again. This is not about Sunday. It's not about Tuesday night. This is who you are at all times, and in all places, and in all things. You will be committed. A lot of people start out and fail in business because of their lack of commitment. Not just to their values, but to everything. It's hard. The going gets rough. Ugh, it's got to be easier. You know how many times I thought that? I'm sitting there peeling carrots all hours of the night, and I'd think, I went to school for this? I graduated from BYU, you know. Peeling carrots. Okay. But I stayed true, and I was committed to our business because I believed in it. I see a lot of people who are willing to walk away from their commitments, their vision, because it gets too hard, or because they get too far ahead of themselves. How many people start businesses, and then they're like, yeah, things are going good. I'm kind of on easy street. I think we need a better car. And then they go, I think we need a bigger house. I think I'm shopping at Nordstrom's from now on, you know. And next thing you know, they get way ahead of themselves. They have credit card bills up the wazoo. They're in their head over with their, can you say wazoo here? Is that okay? Their house payments, you know, $10,000 a month house payment. They're making some payment on some BMW. Holy cow, no wonder they have to quit and get a different job. They can't stay committed to what they've set out to do because they are way in over their heads. So then they quit being entrepreneurs and they just go work for somebody else who has the vision, who has the commitment to do it. And that's where they stay the rest of their life. One of the biggest problems that I see in our world, in our country today, obviously is this principle of living debt-free. The other day I was watching former President Clinton giving a talk to Floridians in Florida about the bailout plan. And he said, got to do it. We had to do it. Just so you know, we had to do it. If we hadn't bailed out these banks, you wouldn't have been able to go down and buy a refrigerator on the installment plan. I wanted to reach through that TV and grab a hold of his neck and say, how do you think we got in this position? Because you couldn't save for a year to buy a refrigerator? I need a refrigerator now. Do you know who the largest lender in the state of Utah is? R.C. Willey. That's correct. Now, you tell me one thing that R.C. Willey is selling that you couldn't do without until you saved the money to get it. There are a few things you can go in debt for. Only things that appreciate in value. That's your house, maybe your business. Never a depreciable product, which are cars, clothes, furniture, appliances. Do not do this. When I was in debt over my head, I made that commitment to myself. I am going to live debt-free the rest of my life. I've only been in debt twice since then. Once when we bought our home, and once when we bought the building that our business is in. And I gave every ounce of money that I had to those places. I owned both within 5 years. Anything else, I did not buy on time. You have no idea the freedom that this gives you. You ought to follow me outside. I'm driving a Mercedes GL. I went and paid cash for it. Before that, I had a Mercedes S-Class. I paid cash for it. Before that, I had an Escalade. I paid cash for it. You only have to do it once, guys. Just once. Whatever you're driving today, drive it for 4 more years. Do not be caught up in your ego. Drive it for 4 more years. Do you know how long I drove that black Cutlass with the red velvet interior? Oh my gosh, it's so horrible. You ever tried to cater in a vehicle that had red velvet interior? Not a pretty sight. But I did it until I saved enough money so that I went and bought a catering van, and I've bought every single one with cash since then. I own every piece of equipment. So people say to me, how's business? I'm doing great. Sure, I have less business this year than I did last year, but I'm not worried. I don't have any creditors beating down my door saying, hey, I need to take back those catering vans, because I own them all. You just do it once. Save money for 4 years and pay cash the next time you need a car. And you'll pay cash from there on out. You only have to sacrifice for 4 years. And from then on, you start saving for the next car, and the next car, and the next car. And you not paying somebody else to use their money. You're living debt-free. This is not news. This is something that's been preached to us from the pulpit forever. And now we're reaping the consequences of not listening. our nation, our world, our members as a whole. And I'm begging you to set yourselves free and to be committed to it today, no matter what. It will bring you some of the largest freedom you've ever experienced in your life. I cater for tons of people who look like they have a lot of money. Like houses like you won't believe. I'll pull up out front, get ready to go in and plan an event or a wedding for their daughter. I'm thinking, whoa, this is going to be a great wedding. I'm excited, you know. And I get in there and I start talking to them, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to get a second on the house, and then we can afford that, and then, oh, I can't do that because I'm like, where's all your money? I have more discretionary income than you have. I know what you're doing. I know what jobs you're working, and you're living in this house, and you can't even afford to throw this wedding for your daughter without taking a second mortgage out on your house? They're living so far beyond their means. Don't do it. I think I'm getting close to end right there. That's enough preachy. I'm just so passionate about it. I have 2 sons. My 2 sons that were here, 1 and 3, when we started the business. I told both of them, and they now work in the business with us, I told both of them, whatever money you save for a down payment on your first home, we'll match. We're like, yeah, that's good. I like that. Okay. So the first son, bless his heart, okay, saved $20,000. Well, that was a lot. I had to match that, okay? So we matched it. He went out, and he bought a $160,000 home and put $40,000 down. I thought that was doable for him. I thought those were good things. He could do that. Oh, I take that back. He bought a $140,000 house, put $40,000 down, carried $100,000. And I knew if he put every ounce of his discretionary income into that home, he was going to be able to own it free and clear in 7 years. My second son, why is it always the second son? My second son also saved $20,000. So I'm thinking, okay, this is fair, this is good. And I gave him $20,000. He had $40,000 now. He went out and bought a $300,000 house. Okay, put $40,000 down. His mortgage is now $260,000. On what he's making, he just has enough money to make that monthly payment every month, and that's it. Well, now we're in a downturn in the economy. Not that I didn't warn him about this. I said, you've got to have this chunk of money every month. I said, we're working events. If you're not working, how are you going to make that payment? I don't know. I said, I don't know either, because I've done my part. I've done $20,000, and that's it, you know. I mean, if you live, you know. I've got an extra bedroom. Come see me. Sometimes the school of hard knocks is a hard way to go. Every one of you are here at this university. You're here about learning how to be an entrepreneur. I hope that you can learn from all the people that come in here and share their visions with you, share their excitement, share their values with you, share their levels of commitment with you, so that you don't have to learn everything the way I learned it, through the School of Hard Knocks. Because they don't offer a course here at the university. I've talked to her about, though, I think she should. And the course goes like this: How to Fail in Business and Succeed on the Other Side. That's a great course. And the things that I learned from our business failure are the things that have given me the tools and the abilities to go where I've gone today. When I did this over at in the studio earlier, one of the questions that somebody asked was, what's the one thing you thought was the most important thing that you learned from your business failure? And I said, the principle of accountability. When I went to every one of those debtors and I stepped up to them and said, wow, this was really a bad thing I did, and I'm really in trouble. But this is what I'm going to do. This is my commitment to you. I'm 100% accountable for where I'm at, and I'm the person I'm going to be 100% accountable for digging me out. And that principle is what allowed them to believe in me. Having 2 little boys growing up, 2 years apart, how many times do you think I came home and said, who put this crayon marker on the wall? Who colored all over this wall? And I'm like, oh, the babysitter. Nothing is a babysitter. I remember one time Caleb told me, a tiger. Great, a tiger. Okay, great. No, that's what he told me when I came home one day and the screens were cut up like this. He said, who cut the screens? A tiger. Okay, great. We have a lot of tigers hanging around here in Utah. It's great, Caleb. I mean, it's such an imagination. Okay. So your anger just escalates as they become this more kind of a, no, who put this crayon on the wall? We don't know. We were downstairs watching TV. Okay. And you just continue to escalate with your anger. Now, the moment they step up and they say, it was me, Mom, and I'm really sorry. Can I help you clean it? I promise I won't do it again. Phew. All your anger dissipates. Every bit of it. Now, I'm still teaching that lesson to them, even today, but I'm still teaching it. Okay. Your anger dissipates. And then you're able to work with them to a solution to the problem. In my business today, I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I've made mistakes in catering. Mistakes in catering are huge because you're dealing with people's once-in-a-lifetime events. You can't call them up and say, yeah, you know, we didn't get that all finished today, but it's okay if we come in with it tomorrow? No. No, it's my daughter's wedding today. You can't come tomorrow. I need it today. Okay? There's no second chance in it. So it's very stressful. I remember one time I took a wedding cake to a lady, and I thought it was the wedding cake that she wanted, and as soon as I got there, the bride burst into tears. It's not what I wanted. It's not, you know. I was horrified. And I could have taken the position of, well, it's what you told me, and I'm sorry. That's, you know, all the, you know. But instead, you step up and you say, those are the keys. You say, I made a mistake. Second key is, I'm sorry. The third key is, and what can I do to make it right? You do that, and I'll tell you, people are on your team. What you thought was a catering situation where they were going to say, I'm not paying you a dime. Now they're like, oh, you know, it's really okay. It's a beautiful cake. We'll be fine. Okay, thanks. You know, you dissipate energy immediately the moment that you are accountable. Okay, that's enough. I could stand here and tell you different things and different stories like that forever and ever. But my time is up. I can look at the clock and say that. So before I end, I do want to open it up to any questions. If any of you have any comments, thoughts, questions. You know, at the other thing, I showed all these pictures of all these great events we've done, of all these awards I've won. But just so you know, I'm really good at what I do, and I've won a lot of awards. The end. Okay. Any questions? Yes?
Where do you learn the concept of abundance?
Where did I learn it, or how?
Or how? Like, it's a very interesting concept.
Yeah.
Like, use the universe is providing and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. How did I learn this principle?
Because I totally agree. I just want to out.
Sure. Yeah, that's a tough question. I've never had anybody ask me that question. Next. I'll get back to you on that. Yeah, okay, let me just think on that for just a minute. I think the way that you learn this principle is that you first have to believe it. Other people don't believe it. They believe only in scarcity. That there's never enough, and what you have, you better hoard. And if you believe that, you'll never learn it. It's kind of like the gospel. You know, I'm a convert to the church. I joined the church when I was a freshman in college. And when I joined, I didn't necessarily know the church was true, but I really wanted it to be true. So I started living the principles of the gospel. And when you start living it, then you start understanding it, and you start really knowing that it's true. That's how the principle of abundance is. Because it's unfamiliar to a lot of people, you really want it to be true. You want it to be true that there's really enough for everybody, and there's enough for you, and I don't have to hoard, and I can share, and there's always going to be enough for me. Don't we all want that to be true? Start living it. And then you'll come to know that it's true.
It's funny because, like I have zero debt, and I've never had to worry about, like, I always try to help people and stuff, and I never had to worry about paying my tuition. It seems like always, like
Something happens.
Yeah, and like, it's true.
And there it is. Yeah. So there's your testimony. If you don't believe it, just live it. and you'll find out it is. Yes?
What previous experience do you have with catering besides?
Zero. I love to cook. That was about it. When I was a little girl, I remember like to have tea parties, and I'd make little things for my friends to come over. I never in the world thought I would go into food service. Hello, I graduated in social work, and it never even dawned on me. But I just love to cook. And so after our business failure, when I was faced with absolutely nothing, and I didn't know what we were going to do, my husband went into a depression. And he went to the couch and was there 60 days. He didn't speak. He didn't talk to me. He was just in a different space. And this is another one of those dreams. I had a dream one night about this catering company. And I saw how to do it. How to start with absolutely nothing and to build it. I woke up the next morning and I went to him and I said, "We're supposed to start a catering company." And he said, "What?" And I said, "We're supposed to start a catering company." Don't be ridiculous. We didn't even have money to put gas in our car. I go, "I don't know how. I just know it's going to happen. I just know it's what I'm supposed to be doing. And if we stay committed to it, the doors will open up to us based on the principles of abundance." So we got that $1,000 on our doorstep, and we had $250. And when I did, I went out and I bought enough groceries to throw a little party, like a Tupperware party. I called people I knew who I thought might have a little money. I said, "Hi, can I come? I want to do a little catering party, and you can have your friends. I just want to show them some of the different things that I can make for you." And I started selling a dozen cookies, a dozen rolls, a birthday cake at a time. I dressed up as the clown and with the big fussy thing, and I went and did birthday parties for everybody. And you do a lot of things when you have no money and your husband's not moving. And I don't share that part of the story with a lot of people. But when I said I moved into that ward where the one lady came to me and said, "Just so you know, nobody else in our cul-de-sac works but you," she didn't walk in my shoes. She didn't know what I had to do to keep my family together. So if you do what you love, the money will follow. If you do what you love, you will learn how to do it. I woke up that morning and said, "I love to cook. I really love to cook. I don't know how to cater, but I love to cook." First time somebody called me and said, "Hi, do you do poached salmons?" "Oh, absolutely. Absolutely." "Okay, we need one more." I said, "Get to the library. We've got to learn how to do poached salmon." And another lady called me. She said, "Yes, at my party, we'd like to have some vegetable crudités. What do you put in your crudités?" "Well, the usual things. What do you like in your crudités?" "Well, I like things like carrots and celery, but I also like unusual things like little baby corns." "Oh, it's a vegetable basket." "Okay, great, good. It's a vegetable basket." And so you just learn and you allow yourself to be open. If you're committed and you have good things about why you want to do this, good things are coming your direction. You'll be taught. You'll be inspired.
When you talked about two reasons why people quit after starting, like you said, it's too hard or they get too far ahead of themselves. What are some things that you found effective to do when you felt like times were really hard?
I can only say this because we're at BYU. And so many of this part of the story that you're the only people who've ever heard. And even the people on tape didn't hear it earlier today. I prayed. Prayer is a powerful, powerful thing. And when you understand the relationship between who you're praying to and who you are, between your literal Father and you, He wants only the best things for you. So sometimes you have to release yourself to His will. I prayed when our first business went down. Please, I don't want this to go down. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to. I'm sorry, not interested in that. Refiner's fire. I know it's out there. Don't want it. Thank you very much for sharing. But that's what happened. So when this business came along, because of the dream I had, I knew it was where I was supposed to be. There was no doubt. And so now I was praying for something different. I don't want you just to bestow money on me. I just want you to allow me to be of service to people. I have a great service. I just have to find them. There were times I just knelt by the phone, prayed for it to ring. Now I pray for it not to ring. Please, please. I'm so busy today. Look at me. Don't ring. We've got to go to BYU today. You know? And so, I mean, to be honest with you, sometimes it is just a matter of prayer. It's a matter of getting yourself out of your head and allowing. I have a caterer that I was just at the International Caterers Association. I'm president there now. And he's having a tough time in his life. And I said, you know, he's Catholic. He's from New York. And I said, you know, this isn't a matter about you being Catholic and me being Mormon. So I'm going to say this to you regardless. Said, you just have to have faith. You have to believe in it. And if you believe in it strong enough, the doors are going to open for you. You just have to believe in it. And it'll happen to you. So this guy's listening to me, and pretty soon at the end of the conversation, he said, that's the best piece of advice. Thank you so much. And then he goes, but just so you know, I'm not going to convert. That's okay. It's okay. Next question. Yes?
Did you ever find out who gave you the money in the tree?
No one, but I mean, I believe I know. And I still go to that dentist today. But no. Because sometimes you have to be a gracious receiver as well as a giver. And sometimes that may be where you are right now, is that you have to learn how to receive as well as to give. I'm on both ends now. People give to me, and I receive. But there are times when it's only about receiving. And you can't be out there tracking it down. It's about allowing people to give to you. But he's a great dentist. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to be here.